What's doing, everybody? Welcome to First Class Fatherhood. I'm Alec, and you're about to listen to a rebroadcast of an interview that I did back in May of 2018 with former Navy SEAL Team 6 operator Rob Oneill. Rob, of course, is famous for firing the shots that killed the most wanted man on the planet, Osama Bin Laden. It was such a tremendous honor to have him on the show, and this is from way back when I first began the podcast. I did at the time what I called Navy SEAL Week, where I interviewed 5 former Navy SEALs leading up to Memorial Day weekend. Little did I know that now I will be up to my 50th Navy SEAL interview on the podcast. If you'd like to hear any of the interviews that I've done, please tap the link in the description of this video, and you can listen to the whole catalog as I continue to upload my backlog of interviews to my YouTube channel here. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can listen to all the interviews I've done with guys like Dana White, Tony Hawk, Tom Brady, and so many others, all right? So here we go with my interview with former Navy SEAL Team 6 hero, Rob Oneill. Joining me now, best-selling author, former Navy SEAL, Rob Oneill. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Thanks, Alec. Appreciate it.
All right, let's start here. How many kids do you have? How many?
I have 3 kids, 3 lovely daughters.
Wow, all right.
I don't want to get into their ages. This is going to be kind of a unique podcast because there's a lot of stuff I can't say about my kids. So we'll just
listen. I totally understand, and that's one of the things that we all take for granted. I think a lot of times is I'm able to really celebrate my kids' lives on social media and share their experiences, and you guys have to kind of keep all that stuff under wraps. So
yeah, I'm able to get on social media, but I don't even follow my own kids just for that simple reason.
Right. Wow.
So but they are at unique ages where they're like, Dad, if we just say who we are, we can have a reality show. So
I would imagine they're probably dying to do that. Okay. What kind of sports do they play?
They're into a little bit of soccer and that, to be honest, a lot of theater type stuff. So one kid's into running, and then like the theater type singing stuff. So it's very unique.
Okay. Are you involved in coaching at all, or in any of the sports or any of the activities?
Well, like I said, it's going to be very unique because they're hidden.
Okay.
And they're in like a self-funded witness protection program, so I don't even get to show up for those things.
Okay. How about and how did now? I'm not sure if you had your children when you were in the teams or not, but how was the transition for you? How did it affect your performance and your preparation going out on missions before you became a father and then becoming a father?
Well, it was easier before the kids because there's not. I mean, it's one of those things where if something happens to me, who cares? Type thing. Obviously, for the families and stuff, you do care. But yeah, once the kids were there, like I was on a lot of missions. My kids were there for most of them, where the realization that not coming back is real, and it's to take kind of a new turn that you want to turn to the kids, and then even like something like for the Bin Laden mission where we knew we weren't coming home, almost a saying goodbye type stuff because there's so much more to live for.
Now, obviously you knew, and your close ones. Did your children know that there was a chance you weren't coming home?
No, they didn't know anything.
Okay. All right. How about hey, big topic going on right now. Let's hit it. The school shootings. What's your take on it? What could be done to or do you want to see officers in the school? How would you handle it?
Yeah, there's plenty of retired military combat veterans who are capable of being armed and working in schools. And the unfortunate thing that we're at a point now where we need to realize that these mass shootings are always done in gun-free zones, which means there's nobody armed there except the perpetrator. So you need to evolve with the times. And unfortunately right now, we need to evolve like we did after 9/11. We don't let people with certain things on planes, and it'd be like the inside of the airport becomes a secure area. As much as it sucks, we need to make the inside of the schools that kind of an area. So you need to have places where there, you can obviously do emergency exits, but there's only 1 or 2 ways in. You need metal detectors and armed guards, and that's just simply the way it is. That's one way to do it. And then also what needs to be addressed is the type of culture we've evolved into with the internet that's made us so intimately close with so much stuff out there. It's the culture of violence. So we need to address the bullying. A lot of shooters come in because of bullying. What's the one in Colorado? That was because
Columbine.
Columbine. That's because they were bullied. And the teachers need to step up. Armed guards need to step up. And the students need to step up. it's a shame that kids need to. It's a shame that I need to talk to my daughters about active shooters and what to do if and when and how it happens. And it's just there's a lot of simply saying, "Hey, we're going to take your guns away" is not going to work. We need to be realistic and smart.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I have 4 children myself. 3 of them are school aged. So, I mean, it's a concern for all of us parents. How do you kind of handle with your children social media and the internet and the dangers of the internet? What steps have you taken?
Well, again, it's very, very difficult for me because we're not following each other and we don't live in the same places. I try to be realistic with them. I'm very fortunate because my kids grew up really quickly dealing with a lot of stuff that I dealt with, and then the public exposure and the high profile missions. But what I need to tell them is try as best you can to avoid the negativity, even though that's very difficult because the internet and social media are very, very negative places. But I also really request that they be honest with me. If you see something that you wouldn't be comfortable with seeing when I'm standing right there, you should probably tell me about it and we can work through it. And honesty's never going to get you in trouble. So just if you see something bad or you see something negative or something that affects you, I want you to tell me about it. We're going to talk through it. And again, as a father, there's no reason to punish a kid for coming forth with issues that concern them, because the kids are growing up a lot faster now than they were when I was growing up in like the 80s.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I struggle sometimes, to be honest, with the communication. I struggle to find the right language sometimes because they are changing very quickly and it's hard to kind of keep up in a sense. How do you feel about video games with the kids? Do you watch movies and video games?
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate there because the video games we play are like Mario Kart and stuff like that. They're not into the
violent games,
active shooter and the violent game. So I'm very fortunate with that part. And then with the movies, and I hope that, again, you don't know what your kids are doing when you're not around, but we're not really into the graphic, violent type movies. We're more into the comedy type stuff too. And I'd actually much rather have a child hear, if it's going to be something to an extreme, hear like a curse word or the F-bomb in a comedy than deal with the guy jumping through the glass after an explosion and murdering people.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I agree with that. How about your kids with guns and gun safety? Did you introduce guns at a young age to them? Have they always been aware?
Again, unfortunately, I've had to teach them how to use guns, and I think that's important with a lot of kids. Is the best way to avoid a catastrophe, other than keeping it under a lock and key in a safe, is to show them what it is, where it is, how it's used, and why. You don't be showing your friends. If you need to understand how the gun works, come to me and I'll show you. And there's nothing wrong with teaching kids how to use guns. I think the problems and the incidents and the accidents come with not teaching kids how to use guns, because if all they know is a simple toy gun, just pull the trigger, point at your friend, and they stumble upon a real gun that they don't necessarily know is real, that's where the issues come in. So again, it all resorts back to honesty.
Yeah, I agree. Would you consider having any more kids? Are you planning on having any more kids?
Well, I don't know yet. I'm on my second marriage. I did get divorced after I left the Navy, and I just got married in August. So yes, I think I would like to.
All right. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, what kind of advice would you give new fathers, or being what you know now, and if you might take this on again as far as what have you learned?
The first advice I would give new fathers is don't expect any sleep for the first 2 years.
Right on with that.
But also the realization that your wife is working her butt off, and maybe once in a while just let her take a nap and take it over. It was funny because when I was married, my first marriage, when I was in the Navy, deploying overseas, going to combat, then coming back, I would let my wife have like a girls' weekend. So you go out and I'll keep the kids. I actually realized it's easier to go to combat than it is to be a single parent.
Yeah, you don't got to tell me. I've been left with the 4 of them and to fend for myself here. And sometimes I give my wife all the credit in the world.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like, at least at war, there are rules. With here, I don't know what this kid's doing right now.
Yeah. Hey, right now, how about yourself? Do you fire more shots or more tweets, you think, now a year?
Oh, I don't. I'm tweeting more and more just out of fun. The hard thing too, which I would tell kids and young parents too, is, ease up on the political correctness, because some of us are just joking. Take a rap off. Don't be offended by everything. Come on.
Yeah, it seems like the terminology has gotten, so I talk about this all the time. Like, we can't even say our kids are hanging out anymore. They're having a play date and stuff like that. It drives me up a
Isn't that
wall.
nuts? It's like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing with the whole every kid gets a trophy, but it seems like enough dads that since I started this podcast, the majority of fathers that connect with me are sick and tired of that philosophy.
Well, yeah, the problem is the media is not, and the media is doing a certain thing, and they're the loudest voices. There's certain social media platforms where people can get the real word out, but everyone doesn't deserve a trophy. If we're keeping score, why don't we win? And if we're playing, why don't we keep score? And why don't we try to win? And you know what a good life lesson is? If you're not good enough to make the team, you shouldn't make the team. Try harder, do it next year. That's how you learn. You don't learn from being told you're great. You learn from failing. You learn from setbacks. That's how life works.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to lead that example for my children. And your community, really, there's not many male role models to look up to. And your community is so awesome because of the mindset and all the capabilities you show. And my children, they all want to be YouTubers and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of took to this thing. And I poured my heart and soul into this little podcast. And now I'm talking to the guy that shot Bin Laden. So at least if nothing else comes to this, I got some street credit with my kids. Like, hey, guys, who had no more podcasts?
That's funny. That's true. Well, and again, too, the reason that I was able to be in a position to shoot Bin Laden was because I was with a team of guys who had busted their butts to get to that position, who had always, kept the positivity flowing, move forward, get over it. Take your setbacks. The team was there because we went through a selection process. It's not because they didn't pick a certain type of person for this. It was the person who got there based on success, period. And that was the entire team, to include the pilots, to include the air crew, to include the analyst that found Osama Bin Laden. I was just there simply because I was fortunate enough to work hard enough to get in that position, to be on that team with those people. And that's what it is. None of the men and women involved with the Bin Laden raid were ever handed a trophy.
Yeah, well, listen, the whole thing is very inspiring, man. And that being said, now everything that you know now, how would you feel about your children joining the military?
Well, I've talked about this with them quite a bit. And what I tell them always is, if you decide to join the military, obviously I'll support you. But I would recommend getting straight A's starting right now, and then get accepted to one of the military academies, and then fly something.
Okay, cool.
That's just good advice right there, because that's got all kinds of opportunities afterwards, too.
All right. The Operator, obviously a best-selling book. I mean, I blew right through it. Do you have any other upcoming writing ventures we should look forward to?
Well, I'm working on a couple things right now, and I think it's more of what do you do next type thing. The realization that life is an experience, a set of experiences based on being in bubbles. When you're in high school, that's the most important thing in your life. That's all you know is high school. That's all you care about is high school. And then high school ends. And then you go to college, and college is the most important thing ever. And then college ends. And like for me, the military, I'm a Navy SEAL. It ends. I'm not a Navy SEAL anymore. I'm a former Navy SEAL. What next? What do we do next? Everyone's always got the what next.
Yeah.
So life is short, but it's also long. And I'm as old as I've ever been, but I'm also as young as I'll ever be. So what do we do now? What next? I'm kind of working on that sort of nothing in writing yet, but that's where my head is.
All right. Very cool, man. Yeah, you definitely have the personality, Navy SEALs for one, but you have the personality. You're a big, very big presence on social media, and you definitely have the charisma for all this stuff. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing what you've done. And
you didn't mention that I also have a great face for radio.
Yeah, well, so do I. That's why I'm behind the screen here. But yeah, I mean, listen, if I were you, I don't know if I would start any other sentence, but yeah, I shot Bin Laden. So I give you a lot of credit for, I don't know how you kept that in for so long.
Well, it's one of those things, like I mentioned before. Yes, I shot Bin Laden, but I didn't get there by myself. And it's the people, the heroism before me that got me into that position that I think people need to know about. A lot of these guys are at retirement age, and again, fathers, they have kids too, but they're getting out now. They're realizing what next. I'm hoping we hear some of their stories, because I was by no means the most brave person on that mission. The pilots that crash landed, that saved everyone's lives, those are the stories that need to be told.
Listen, Rob, if it was up to me, it would be mandatory that the minute you retire from the SEAL teams, you have to write your autobiography. That's the way I would want it to be. I love when you guys come out with the books.
I'm happy when a lot of guys do that. There's a lot of amazing stories out there. A lot of guys are concerned with the safety aspect, so they're never going to come forth. But I assure you, I've seen a lot of heroes in a lot of different places.
Yeah, and we definitely need those stories right now, and those movies. We need them. We really do as a country. We really do. And I just I love the fact that that you're on your second marriage here. You're considering having more children. I just think family values need to take center fold in this country. And I'm just
that is one of the reasons there's a lot of problems, is because of the family values are falling apart. And if a lot of kids growing up without fathers, that's an issue that leads to a lot of the violence. It leads to more violence, and it's a shame that we're there. But the family values are important, and a lot of people are trying to break them down. I don't think they should. I mean, it's very, very difficult, and no one understands what someone else is going through. But having people that grow up with a family intact, they tend to be more successful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, you got anything else you'd like to add here before I wrap it up?
No, this is great, and again, I apologize too for not being able to get too in depth with my kids simply because of the security reason. But no, it's been great talking with you. We should probably do it again.
Yeah, listen, that's music to my ears. I can't begin to explain what an honor it is to have a chance to have you on the podcast here. I have to say, I don't speak for myself, but thank you very much for shooting that bastard in the face.
He had it coming, and believe me, I'm here in New York right now, and I run into people every day that tell me different stories about how thankful they are. And again, just thanks to everyone that would put me in the position to get in that position, and he did have it coming. All right. Well, hey, Rob, I'm always following you on Twitter and social media there, so I'll definitely be in touch with you. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time. Very cool. Thank you.